The morning had begun like any other, with the aroma of freshly brewed coffee curling through the kitchen and the distant hum of city traffic outside. But today there was a flutter in her chest that made her move a little faster, a little lighter. This wasn't just any morning. Today she would tell her daughter about the surprise she had planned, a family trip to New York. She had spent months saving, researching flights, booking a boutique hotel near Central Park, and even snagging tickets for the Broadway shows her daughter had gushed over for years. Every detail was meticulous, every plan was laced with love. Her phone buzzed on the kitchen counter, vibrating insistently against the marble. She picked it up, expecting perhaps a cheerful text from her daughter about packing or excitement, but the message that appeared made her heart stutter and then shatter. It was a voice message. She pressed play. "You are not coming with us to New York. My husband doesn't want to see you." The words echoed in her ears, surreal and cutting. Her hands trembled slightly as the phone slipped from her grip. She replayed it once, twice, 3 times, hoping somehow her ears had misheard, that this was a mistake, a cruel joke. But the cold, clipped tone of her daughter's voice left no room for doubt. For a moment she just sat in silence, staring at the phone, the world around her fading. Images of her daughter as a child, the scraped knees she kissed better, the sleepless nights, the birthdays, the graduations, all flashed in her mind like a montage she had never asked to see all at once. She had given everything, sacrificed, poured herself into this family, and now this. Tears pricked at the corners of her eyes, but she blinked them back. Anger began to bubble underneath the hurt, sharp and hot. How dare they, how dare her daughter, the one she had loved unconditionally, speak to her this way? And the husband, her son-in-law, the man she had welcomed into her home, the man she had trusted who had apparently decided that she was not welcome. Her fingers hovered over the phone. She wanted to call back, to demand an explanation, to hear some shred of humanity in their voices. But something inside her froze. This wasn't just hurt. It was betrayal so deep it tasted like poison. And in that frozen moment, a quiet resolve began to take shape. She opened the hotel confirmation emails, the flight itineraries, the Broadway tickets. Her plans, her labor of love, suddenly felt like chains, binding her to a family that no longer valued her presence. Her anger shifted into a strange, calm clarity. If they didn't want her there, she realized, then perhaps it was time she *** taught them the weight of their cruelty. Not with shouting, not with confrontation, but by reclaiming control of the situation ***. With deliberate movements, she began canceling the bookings, one by one. Each confirmation email that arrived felt like a tiny victory, a small act of justice. No dramatic messages, no explosions of emotion, just the quiet undoing of everything they had expected. She didn't need to yell. They would feel the absence. They would notice. They would know. As she pressed the final cancel button, her phone buzzed again. Another missed call from her daughter, and then another. She didn't answer. She wouldn't. Instead, she sat back, letting the silence settle around her. The apartment, once filled with anticipation and plans, was now quiet. But in that quiet, she found something she hadn't felt in a long time, *** power. *** not over them, not exactly, but over herself, over her dignity, over the narrative that had been twisted into betrayal. Her daughter and husband would arrive in New York expecting warmth and excitement. They would find none. And when the first pang of confusion hit them, when they realized the consequences of their arrogance, she would be ready not with malice, but with the calm satisfaction of someone who had been wronged and had chosen to rise above it. And somewhere in the background, her phone silently recorded ** 69 missed calls ***, a countdown to the moment they would feel the sting of their choices. The moment the elevator doors opened to the sleek lobby of the Manhattan Hotel, the daughter and her husband were filled with excitement. They had imagined this trip for weeks: bustling streets, neon lights, the taste of expensive desserts they could barely pronounce, and most importantly, the presence of her mother, the woman who had been the heart of every family gathering. But the warmth they expected didn't greet them. The daughter's phone vibrated incessantly. She pulled it out, expecting a cheerful message from her mother saying she had arrived. Instead, 34 missed calls. 34! The first panic bubbled in her chest. Maybe the phone hadn't rung. Maybe it was on silent. She called again. The line rang and rang and rang. Nothing. Mom. She whispered into the phone, voice trembling, a little panic creeping in. Mom, are you there? Still, no answer. Her husband frowned, placing a comforting hand on her shoulder, but even he felt the strange pit of unease growing inside. Something was off, very off. Another 10 calls, then 20, then 69. Each missed call was a hammer strike on their comm, each one a growing, insistent drumbeat of tension. They tried texting. Asterisk, we're here, where are you? Asterisk, no reply. Asterisk, Mom, please pick up. It's New York. Asterisk, still nothing. Meanwhile, the mother sat in her small apartment, hundreds of miles away, a quiet smile tugging at the corners of her mouth. She didn't rush to answer. She didn't scream or curse. She simply watched in a meditative silence as her absence began to ripple outward. Each vibrating phone on the other side was a testament to the control she had reclaimed. At the hotel, the daughter paced the lobby like a caged bird. She noticed the concierge, glancing curiously at her frantic demeanor. "Is everything okay?" he asked politely. She shook her head, muttering something about her mother not answering. The husband, usually confident, felt the anxiety spreading like ink in water. Their planned holiday suddenly felt hollow, brittle. Without her presence, everything seemed off, like a carefully built sculpture, missing its keystone. Back home, the mother poured herself a cup of tea and sat by the window, watching the winter light glint off the city streets below. She thought about all the times she had been overlooked, dismissed, the countless sacrifices she had made to make their lives smoother, happier. And now, in this quiet moment, she felt an odd serenity. For once, they were the ones scrambling, the ones unsure. Hours passed. She imagined their frustration growing. She imagined the hotel staff rolling their eyes at the frantic daughter. She imagined her son-in-law trying to mask panic behind a forced smile, realizing that life didn't bend to arrogance. Then, somewhere deep inside her, she felt the first flicker of something more than calm. It was a tiny, gentle satisfaction, a sweet pulse of justice. She hadn't needed to scream, hadn't needed to beg. The silence itself was her message. They were learning, slowly but surely, that love given freely was not to be taken for granted. As night fell over New York, the city lights casting a glittering glow over their confusion, the daughter sat on the edge of the hotel bed, exhausted, phone in hand. 69 missed calls glared up at her. 69 opportunities she had squandered to show care, respect, or even simple decency. And somewhere far away, the mother, quiet and composed, let herself sip her tea again. She knew the real lesson was yet to come. Because silence, she thought, has a voice louder than any words. The daughter and her husband had spent hours wandering the streets of Manhattan, trying to distract themselves from the gnawing unease that had replaced their excitement. They had envisioned a mother-daughter adventure, laughter echoing through the hotel lobby, coffee dates, and Broadway nights. But instead, their trip had become a series of unanswered calls, frantic texts, and mounting frustration. Meanwhile, hundreds of miles away, the mother sat at her kitchen table, her laptop open, her fingers poised over the keyboard. This wasn't about anger now. It was about reclamation. She wasn't going to humiliate them with harsh words or public shaming. No, her revenge would be ***, quiet, precise, and deeply meaningful ***. She began with the bookings she had painstakingly made for them. The hotel canceled. The Broadway tickets for **Hamilton** gone, with personalized cancellation notices. She sent a subtle email to the concierge. Please let them know their mother's absence is noticed. They can contact me directly if needed. She canceled reservations at the fine dining restaurant they had boasted about. But she didn't just cancel. She left notes, each one a whisper of truth, a reflection of the effort she had poured into this trip. I booked this thinking of your happiness. I guess that doesn't matter. The seats I reserved were for you and me, but someone forgot the most important person. The daughter and her husband arrived at the hotel, only to be met with confusion at every turn. The concierge politely explained that none of the reservations existed, that the Broadway tickets had been voided, and that the hotel had no record of their special arrangements. Panic replaced their initial anger. Every step they had planned had vanished into thin air. Their phone buzzed constantly, 69 missed calls, each one a silent accusation, each one a reminder of the absence they had ignored. At the same time, the mother decided to add a personal touch. She left a small package at the hotel reception, addressed to her daughter. Inside was a framed photo of the two of them from years ago, smiling on a sunny beach vacation. A note accompanied it. This is the love you chose to ignore. I hope you carry it with you, even if you forget to respect it. The daughter opened the package with trembling hands. A wave of guilt, shame, and panic crashed over her. She had thought the absence of her mother would be inconvenient, but the emotional weight of her disregard was unbearable. For the first time, she truly felt the consequences of her words, the cold, deliberate dismissal of someone who had given her everything. Her husband, equally stunned, tried to rationalize, to soothe, to make excuses, but the truth was undeniable. The careful orchestration of her mother's absence had revealed the fragile selfishness of their plans. No money could fix the emptiness. No frantic calls could summon the warmth they had taken for granted. And yet the mother did not gloat. She did not scream or rage. She simply watched from afar, savoring the quiet power of *** control, regained ***. The sweet revenge was not in punishing them, but in allowing them to *** experience firsthand the void their cruelty had created ***. As night fell over the city, the daughter sat on the edge of the hotel bed, staring at the framed photo in her hands. She felt small, powerless, and regretful. Her husband quietly nodded, understanding finally that this trip, so full of expectation, was now a mirror reflecting their own arrogance and thoughtlessness. Somewhere far away, the mother poured herself another cup of tea. She could feel her heart unclenching, the grief and hurt beginning to settle into quiet strength. Revenge had never tasted so sweet, not because it hurt them, but because it reminded them of ***, the depth of love they had underestimated, the sacrifices they had ignored, and the respect they had denied ***. And in the distance, her phone silently recorded more missed calls, 69, then 70, and still she didn't answer. Because sometimes the loudest lesson comes not from words, but from the *** silence that speaks volumes ***. The New York skyline glittered through the hotel windows, casting the streets below in a dreamy golden glow. But inside the room there was no magic left, no excitement, no laughter, only a heavy, oppressive weight of regret. The daughter and her husband sat in silence, the framed photo resting on the nightstand, and between them a silent accusation that burned hotter than any angry words ever could. They had spent the day wandering aimlessly, trying to salvage what remained of their trip. But every restaurant turned them away, every ticket was void, and every tour they attempted was met with disappointment. The city they had imagined as a playground of delights had become a mirror, reflecting their own selfishness, impatience, and arrogance. The daughter's phone buzzed again, another missed call, the 72nd now. She stared at the screen, realizing, with a sinking heart, that this was no longer just about inconvenience. This was about ***, the love she had ignored ***, the presence she had dismissed, the person who had always been the cornerstone of her life. Finally, a single message appeared on the screen from the woman whose absence had haunted every step of their day. One short, piercing text. I hoped you would understand that my love is not optional. I wanted to be with you, but only if you treated me with respect." The daughter's hands trembled as she read it. Words she had taken for granted now cut sharper than any anger could. The husband's face, usually so confident, crumpled into guilt. He had thought this trip was about luxury and convenience, about pleasing the daughter. He had not considered that the most important part of the journey, the mother, the family, the bond they had taken for granted, was irreplaceable ***. Tears welled up in the daughter's eyes as the weight of the day pressed down. Each cancelled reservation, each unanswered call, each moment of her mother's absence had been a lesson in humility. She realized painfully how fragile their expectations had been and how completely they had underestimated the consequences of their words. And yet the mother had not humiliated them. She had not shouted or punished them publicly. Instead, she had let them *** feel the emptiness ***, the discomfort of their own selfishness, the sting of their thoughtless rejection. That was the brilliance of her quiet revenge. Her dignity had remained intact while their illusions crumbled. Somewhere far away, in the quiet of her own home, the mother poured herself a cup of tea. She watched the steam curl lazily into the air and allowed herself a deep breath, a long, satisfying release. She had been hurt, betrayed, and dismissed, but she had responded not with anger, but with clarity, strength, and subtle justice. In that moment she felt something she had not felt in years. *** peace ***. The daughter, curled on the hotel bed, finally whispered into the darkness, her voice breaking, I understand now." The husband nodded silently, too ashamed to speak. They had learned a lesson. They would never forget the cost of taking love for granted, the price of thoughtless words, and the quiet power of someone who had been hurt but refused to be defeated. And as the night stretched over the city, the mother's final act of strength remained unspoken but undeniable. She had *** reclaimed her respect, her dignity, and her voice ***, while leaving her family to reckon with their own mistakes. Sometimes the loudest message doesn't come from yelling. It comes from the absence that is ***, felt in every missed call, every unspoken word, every moment of silence ***. And that message, clear, unyielding, unforgettable, was more powerful than any holiday could ever be.